Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster, Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. Let us now look at the tremendous underlying issue of this income disparity and even worse, the wealth disparity here in the United States, which the joint Obama, Wall Street Democrat, reactionary Republican, and Tea Party fanatic policies all will now tend to make worse. The two Americas, I guess, is putting it mildly. That's really a euphemism for what we have. I would urge you to think about Pottersville. If you're going to be watching the original Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life, look at that Pottersville, the one that emerged when he didn't live there, and they changed the name of the town to the local dominant banker and oligarch, right? And you get a quick view of what it looks like under the dominion of that banker, because that's what the United States is now. It's a plantation for finance capital. It's a world of poverty, gambling, prostitution, crime. The police are everywhere, arrests, crime and punishment, a big theme in the society. You're getting to live in Pottersville these days. I urge people to take a look at the website of William Domhoff, Domhoff, still soldiering on there at the University of California, Santa Cruz. And his book, Who Rules America, it goes back 40 years or more now. He does keep the statistics up to date. You'll get an eye-opener. And it is this, the fact that the top 1% in the United States controls almost 40% of the assets, not even the income. Because, again, the income can change, but now the assets representing the cumulative effect of income over many decades, and sometimes over centuries, the top 1% owns almost 40% of the assets, and the bottom 40% own less than 1% of the assets. I think he gives statistics from 2007, pre-depression or pre-panic. It's 0.3% of the assets in the United States are owned by the bottom 40% of the population. Now think about this. The land of opportunity, American exceptionalism. What's exceptional about this is nothing good. What's exceptional about it is the related phenomenon that the ability to pass from one income group to another is now getting to be less and less. It has been declining for decades. As the New Deal ran out of steam in the 1960s, the degree of social mobility, that is your ability to better yourself, to make this land of opportunity, American dream stuff into reality, that has been completely swept away in most cases. According now to a study from the Center for American Progress, it's a study from April 2006, they say that if you're born in a low-income family, you have a wonderful 1% chance of reaching the top 5% of income level. This is income now. This is easier to do than the asset side. So if you're born poor, you have a 1% chance of getting yourself into the top 5% of income earners or income getters, I guess we should say, given the way things go. Whereas if you're born rich, you have a 22% chance of staying rich, of being in the top 5% of income earners. And if you're in the middle, if you're sort of in the middle quintile, you don't have much security because you can just as easily end up in the bottom 20% as you can anywhere else. So what you've got coming out of this is obviously a permanent underclass of people who have been living in poverty for 3 to 4 generations, really since the World War II boom ended in the 1940s. These long-term stagnation tendencies have been there. That's really the origin of the inner city ghetto in modern terms. really comes after the Eisenhower recession of 1957-58. That's when you begin to get at least violence in parts of the poorer parts of New York City, on the edges of Harlem and places like this. 3 to 4 generations. So it's a permanent underclass concentrated among minorities, among black and Latino minorities in the inner cities of the United States, but also in the southern mountains, in rural America, poor whites, and actually numerically a very large group, maybe still larger than the combined black, Latino, and related underclass. So the United States now has a permanent underclass, and once you're in that underclass, that bottom 10 or 20%, it's almost impossible to get out. You have maybe a 1% chance of getting yourself up to the top, and your chances of getting out anyway at all are very low. In terms of American exceptionalism, here's what's exceptional. The following societies, the following countries have a greater chance for upward social mobility, upward socioeconomic mobility. France is more mobile. Germany is more mobile. Sweden is more mobile. Canada, more mobile, upward. Finland, more mobile. Norway, more mobile. Denmark, more mobile. The U.S. is at the bottom of the list except for Great Britain, notoriously the most stratified, the most aristocratic, the most oligarchical, hierarchical society in Europe, still saves the U.S. from the ignominy of being in absolute last place. So, you want to talk about American exceptionalism, again, it's a great idea. You want to be exceptional, do something exceptional. You want to talk the talk, you better walk the walk, be exceptional. And now what we've done is just the opposite. And, of course, historically, these trends are really, really bad. Again, right now, the top 1% owns more than 40% of the assets. The bottom 40% own less than 1%, actually 0.3%. The top 20%, if we take the top 20%, they own 85% of the assets. 85% of the assets. The bottom 80% own, therefore, 15% of the assets. 80% of the population are left with 15% of the assets, and Obama and the Republicans and their Tea Party dupes come forward and say, we demand more tax cuts for the rich. This estate tax has got to end. We're living in a madhouse, ladies and gentlemen. This is pure insanity. So something's got to be done about this. We'll be back in just a minute on World Crisis Radio.